Hey friends, and welcome back to Timberborn. And today I really want to sort of lock in and try and finish the aqueduct, but there is a slight problem. We are out of logs. And let's see. There are no grown oaks here. Are there even 45, 40? I don't think any of them. 73? That's still like 4 days away or something. This side of the river. 72, 82. Yeah, so it's gonna be a while before we get any new trees. And I don't think we are chopping any other trees. So we are in a bit of a crisis at the moment. So let's see. Are there any trees we can sort of easily reach? Because like we said last time, we need those logs to fuel our grills and bakeries as well. We could start chopping down our forest for goods, but I'd rather not. Let's see what else. We won't be able to reach those. There's one tree over here. The problem is we need a place where we can get without stairs or something like that, because we don't have the goods to build stairs. And I think we have actually depleted all those locations. So we might start chopping down our little forest over here, which is a shame, but I don't think we really have any other options. Is this tank empty? Oh, we are transporting it to the industrial district. That's fine. So yeah, I might... How much pine resin do we have? 1,000 pine resin, so I think I'm gonna chop down this pine forest. We'll re-enable this forester. We'll get some lumberjack flags on the go. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I've marked the pine and the maple to be cut down, because I think those syrups are and resins are the least important. I want to keep growing the chestnuts, although we do have 1,200 grilled chestnuts and 1,000 raw chestnuts in storage. No, I think I'm gonna leave those, because those are actually... I am gonna leave a couple of the maple as well, because I don't want to run out of food supplies, because that affects our well-being. And the resin is only used for treated planks, and we have a full storage of treated planks, so it's fine if we don't produce resin for a while. So Bill and Buzz and Born can help us by chopping down these pine trees. And I'm actually gonna plant a few more pines now that we're here, because why not? Okay, so while those beavers are working on the pines, we can continue growing oaks over here, and hopefully... How long does pine actually take to grow? 12 days, okay. So hopefully by the time we start harvesting those pines, a bunch of these oaks will have grown as well, and we can start relying on this forest. So that was a bit of a abrupt start to the episode. Thank you guys for the comments on last episode, and thank you for the name suggestions. So I expanded my list of available names again, so we'll start adding some of them in when we get some new beavers born. And I think I'm at the point where I have more names than beavers again, so that's good. Then we can, I don't know, get some more variety again, instead of just adding numbers to existing names, which is also kind of funny. But it's good to have some, I don't know, fresh blood every now and then. And I'm not sure if I want to expand our housing district more, because we're almost at the point where we have no vacancies. So we might add a couple more beavers. I mean, it's not like we're short on food or water, so there's nothing really holding us back. Sure, why not? Let's add some more, although that does cost logs and planks again. But it will add more haulers. I think I'm gonna add just a bit more housing. 6 beavers or 9 beavers? Let's do 6 beavers. What would be a good place to add this? Ooh, that's a nice gap. Let's put it over there. Can we rotate it? Yes. They'll even get some well-being bonuses from all the decorations, so that's a nice bonus. But yeah, other than that, I think the colony is doing fine. Like I said, we are full on food and water, and everything seems to be working as intended with the automation and stuff. We can see the treated plank guys are paused, the gear makers are paused, even some of the bakeries are paused because the storages are full. So that's good. And I think that should mean we have, these are builders. Yeah, most of the hauling posts are full, so we have a lot of beavers just going around transporting resources back and forth. So that should really help the efficiency of the, I don't know, working beavers. And we're slowly filling up the reservoir again after last episode's draining of the lake. It's gonna take a while before this is all filled up again. And we are working hard on the dynamite over here, so we are getting ready to blast out a lot of this ground so we can have an even bigger water storage. Speaking of which, I think we have some dynamite over here. We can start... Do we want to start blasting this out? Because that will let water flow into here. No, we have to wait until we have all this dynamite and this dynamite in place as well, because otherwise this will eventually just overflow and flood this forest. So we can't blast these until we have all of this in place. We can add some more dynamite over here. And we are still working on the zipline connection, so we are slowly getting our faster route to the aqueduct back in place, so that's good. That's because they're working on these projects first now, and not on the aqueduct. Because I gave those zip lines very high priority, so they don't have to walk miles and miles to get to the aqueduct. And we've already gone through half of the pines in just one day. So this is not going to be a sustainable forest either. We could, now that we have so much green area here, we could consider planting more forests. Because we already have a forester here. It doesn't have the greatest range. And we also have the zip lines over here. I'm not sure, although they do pass over these trees, so maybe it's not a problem if they're on the same level. Because remember last episode we tried to connect the zip line near the aqueduct and it was blocked by trees. But I think that zip line station was on like a lower level, so maybe that's why it couldn't work. But we could plant some more oaks over here. Okay, so I planted some more oaks over here, or I designated the area for oaks to be planted, I guess. And I made a new storage for logs as well, because we only have like the small pile here that is used for the grills. But if we get like a foresting operation going here, a slightly bigger log storage would be nice. And I kept a little space between the trees and like the buildings, because I feel like building right next to the building felt a bit odd, especially with the grill. I don't want a fire hazard. I feel like the beavers would be smart about that, so... And this is not a huge amount of oaks, but I think we can keep like one lumberjack working here year-round. How are we doing over here? The zip line is back in, so that's good. We have a fast way to get to the aqueduct again, and they're also working on the aqueduct again, so nice. And they are building from above, so that's good. I figured that would work, but I wasn't sure. But this means they can just build those levees with the path on top and slowly work their way around the entire aqueduct without us needing to add more stairs and stuff like that. And they already built the extra lodge, so we'll probably get a bunch of baby beavers tonight. And we also started overtopping here, so our reservoir is full again, or as full as we can get it at the moment. And we did have a bunch of birds this night, so let's welcome to the colony Bam, Brodo, Vendalf, Baragorn, Baromir, Bagolas, Bilbo, Bimli, Bippin, and Breebeard. And I think that is the entire fellowship present in the colony. So hopefully they won't find any strange rings or stuff like that. But yes, welcome to the colony. Hopefully you can enjoy a bad tide free lifetime if we finish this aqueduct. Oh, and our new levee system here is working. We don't have bad water flooding back into the colony, so that's good. That does mean the dynamite hasn't really helped us over here. I feel like this actually needs to be deeper, like the river downstream, because that's where the water mixes. So we need more volume downstream and not upstream. Why aren't these built too far from a district? Okay. So we need platforms for those as well. Let's detonate the others. Yeah, I think that has more effect than the upstream dynamiting does. That does mean that we would have to dynamite this entire downstream river, I think, if we want to completely stop flooding. And this has stopped overflowing again for some reason, because it's flooding over here. Yeah, I still feel like one of you commented about that floodgates their intended use is to store water. So it's not meant to work in like a tandem system like I'm doing, because this part of the river can only store an X amount of water, and when we let more water in, that will flood because it won't have time to release. So we could lower these a little bit, so there's just more space for the new water to enter this system. And I agree with that, but it doesn't explain why we had stuff like this. So it was flooding here, we know that, because this was backing up. And then it just stopped flowing altogether, which is weird, because this should just be a continuous flow. So there is some, I think, what the game does is it simulates waves, kind of. So when water enters this system, it will flow down, hit the floodgates, and then sort of make a wave backwards. And that's why we get this flooding over here. Because by the time that wave backwards has reached this spot, then new water has also again reached this spot. So then suddenly there's too much water over here. But that also means that while that wave is traveling backwards, it stops overflowing again over here because it is flowing away from the dam. So you get a sort of ebb and flood effect, and I think that's why we get these sort of mini floods happening all the time. So I don't think there's really much we can do about that other than having constantly flowing water, because then it will just equalize itself out. And of course we could lower these dams to just give the fresh water more room to enter this system so we don't actually get floods, but as long as no buildings get flooded, I'm not really fussed about the mini floods. Yeah, now you see again, we still have a little flooding over here, and this has stopped overtopping again. It's just pure bad water over here. And now we start getting fresh water again. So there is a little bit of weird sloshing back and forth going on. So I think we're just gonna have to accept that it takes like 2 or 3 days before a river has figured itself out. And we had 3 more births this night, so welcome to Beowulf, Odysseus, and Boke. Welcome, welcome. That's all the new names added for now. But like I said, we now have more names than living beavers, so we should be fine for a while. Yeah, look at all the beavers traveling towards the aqueduct. I would like to try and get a straighter connection in somewhere, but let's see. If we want to connect to this zipline station, because that could give us a straight line, we need to place a pylon somewhere over here. And then this would need to be like a layover, so like a double station. I guess we could remove a couple more oaks over here. They have barely grown, so... Okay, wait, let's... I think if we remove these 6 oaks, then we can build another zipline station right in front of this one. And then beavers can either take this route or the roundabout route. And I guess it will also depend on where they're going. Like if they're going to get food and water and go to sleep, then this zipline station, the direct route, will probably be better. But if they're going here for logs, it will probably be faster to go this way around. And we're out of logs again because we're out of trees. Wait, why has this pine not been cut down? Did I forget to... Ah, I didn't mark it. Fair enough. Okay, so question, do we cut down these maples as well? We have 319 maple syrup. I think I'll leave them. And I'm actually gonna unmark these trees because they take 12 days to grow. They're 20%, so they need like, what, like 8 more days? And I think we have a couple of oaks, yeah, 90%, or 89, 89, 89, 89, 90, 90, 90. Yeah, I think before those 8 days have passed, we are harvesting oaks again, so... so I'm gonna unmark the maples so they can just grow up and start giving maple syrup again. We might get one more harvest of pines in before we stop harvesting these again, just to have a sort of stable-ish wood supply, because we are completely out of logs again. Yeah, those oaks at 90% still take a couple days, so I guess... Oh, oaks are growing. Nice. Wait, why do I have one unplanted square? There we go. One more oak. Oh, and we already removed this. Okay, so let's put in a zipline station. And it will reach the pylon, so that's good. Okay, so that's all connected up now, and I'm not gonna high prioritize this zipline station because we do have a working connection and we need all the logs and planks we can get, so this zipline station will be built someday in the future when we have the aqueduct. I don't think the logs and planks are worth the seconds it saves them from going slightly around. But yeah, well, I was gonna say, I think we're gonna have to survive on not having logs for a little while, just because it will take a couple of days for most of these oaks to grow. We do have the oaks over here now, so that's good. Can this lumberjack actually reach them? There's 2 lumberjacks working over here. Wait, this one is paused, so... Oh, you can reach all the way over here. Okay, good job. We are getting new logs in, so that's good. And these give 8 logs per tree, remember? So this is actually a really good supply of wood. Way better than the pines. And I have just changed the priorities a little bit, so I've high prioritized this little section because I want to get this all working and finished so we can see if this actually works like we want to. And it will also, I don't know, I'm a bit nervous about this little flooding bit. I don't like it. Oh, and the corner of the aqueduct is in. Or one side of the corner at least. And we've also begun work on this side, so we can get the floodgates all working. We have gone through all the oaks again. It did give us a little supply of logs and planks, so that's good. And I think these are about, yeah, 98%, 97, 98. But these are about to grow up, so that's good. That will give us another like 40 logs right here. We've already put in most of the dynamite, so as soon as these oaks are harvested, we can put in the remaining bit of dynamite and get some roads going, because they can't actually place this dynamite because it's too far away from the colony. Because this little connection isn't in. So we need this oak to grow up and be chopped, and then we can add one final road. And we can start getting this like river diversion going. So we can plant even more oaks. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. We are getting some flooding over here because of how wide this is. Yeah, see? So hopefully this waterfall stays sort of contained over here until we can finish this final piece. I see some planks arriving and some logs, maybe even some metal blocks. So yeah, we're working on the final platforms now, so that's good. Yeah, we are getting some flood surges now because of the weirdness happening here. But good news, more oaks are growing up. And the final platform is in. We're now working on the floodgates and levees, so hopefully this flooding will stop soon. And we finished the levee and the floodgates. There's one final levee left, but it shouldn't be long. Only needs 8 more logs. And then we can test this system. Or no, we can't, because this doesn't go anywhere. Never mind. There is Buies the Third with the final log for our levee here. Nice. Good job, Buies. And there we have our little waterfall. Our extended waterfall. Oh, and we cut that oak that was in the way, so let's put in a path and an explosive. And then we can start finishing all of these explosives. And how long do these... Oh, they're only halfway. Okay, so we need at least another 15 days before we can finish this little channel of water. But we do have oaks growing like in a cycle now, a functioning cycle, so that's good. Hopefully the next not temperate season will be a drought, because in a drought we can keep this area green for like at least 5 or 6 more days, so then we have a chance of actually keeping this cycle going and keeping our log supply moving, I guess, functioning. And we've reached a milestone. The first time in several cycles where we actually have an unemployed beaver. Oh, no, not anymore. We had but at least we have no vacancies. That's something. I guess one of these bakeries just kicked in, and that's why we needed to employ that beaver, but still a milestone. Blake the Third here working on the dynamite in our reservoir. Oh, we're actually further along than I expected. Great work, guys. This is a nice sort of backup project. Like every time they don't have logs or planks to work on the aqueduct, they can just pick up some dynamite and start arming this giant explosion. I love the halfway underwater hammering as well. Animations are really cool. I feel like we could do with an extra set of stairs on this side so they can enter the lake from here, but I don't want to add building projects that use logs or planks, so they're gonna have to make do for now. Oh, speaking of building projects with logs and planks, we are working on these platforms. Wait, what priority are these? Normal priority. Why are we not working on the high priority aqueduct? We have logs, we have planks, we have metal blocks, so yeah. I guess they can only reach 1 or 2 at a time, so with the amount of builders we have, they can't actually build on them all at once, so that's why they start working on these. That's fine, I guess. We have finished almost all the supporting platforms. A couple over here that can't be reached, but that's fine. Actually, we can do a little path to them. That doesn't cost us anything. I'm not gonna do a path towards these last ones because that would require stairs again, and I don't think that's worth it. But yeah, I think right now they can only work on this overhang, which requires a bunch of logs, but there's only so many beavers that can bring logs to this at once. And until they finish that, they can't build these levees or the next platform, so I guess this is just going to be a slow process of finishing them one by one, and then all the other builders can just work on stuff like this and other projects around the colony. And we have a drought approaching, so that's actually good news. I mean, not as good as just, I don't know, wet season, temperate season, but a lot better than a bad tide. So I'm actually quite pleased that we have a drought incoming now. I hope those won't be famous last words and we get like a 20-day drought and everything dies, but I'm gonna assume we will be fine and it will allow us to keep growing these oaks for a little while longer, and at least even when this dries out, the oaks will stop growing, but they won't straight up die, and that will save us a lot of time. Because like these oaks are now at 32%, so they need 20 more days to grow. If we would get a bad tide, they would die and have to be replanted and start growing all over again, so we would lose like 10 to 15 days of growing progress. But in a drought, they might be fine the entire drought, and even if they dry out, they will stop growing, but then as soon as water returns, they will just continue growing again, so we won't lose 15 days of growing time. So we might actually start seeing this forest function the way it was intended to. And we are already seeing quite a lot of oaks growing now. I think all our lumberjacks are actually busy chopping trees, so that's very nice. We're finally, I won't say increasing our log supply, because all the logs are just immediately used to turn into planks or build our aqueduct and other projects, but at least we are not running out anymore. So a couple of days have passed, the drought has just started, and we made some decent progress. I think they built like one and a half of these platforms per day, so that's pretty decent. all the supporting platforms that can be reached have now been built. And we've built the platforms over here. And we almost finished this forester, so that's good. Then we can start planting some more oaks up here as well. And it's a 7-day drought, so I think we should be fine. How high were these? 0.85. Okay, I might automate these dams. Oh, then we finished the new floodgates as well. So we can divert some water into this side river. But I think I'm gonna automate these floodgates on the weather station as well, so they raise up to 1 meter as soon as a drought or a bad tide hits. But I'll wait with automating those until we have the aqueduct finished, because we don't want to raise these up to 1 meter when a bad tide starts. And because there's no power, we now have 13 unemployed beavers, because all these jobs are now paused because there's no power. Except for the inventors. I guess I never automated that. Okay, so you can automate on the flow sensor. And same goes for the grist mill. Oh, they are automated on the resource counter, so I'd need relays for them. So let's add 2 more relays over here. Okay, so I automated these on the relays, and the relays are set to the flow sensor and the resource counter of these buildings. And I think because of the drought, we're not making planks anymore, but we actually want to make planks for our aqueduct. So I think we're gonna re-enable these power wheels. And I might consider automating them as well. Like automatically turn on when this guy detects no flow. I think we were able to run 2 or 3 lumber mills on those power wheels. Let's just enable 3 of them. Oh wait, I'm doing it wrong. We need to stop their automation for a second. And I think we want to do some automation here at some point on power and not on the flow sensor. So that we can say that buildings turn on when these guys are running, but we can say like, we can do a sort of priority system. Like we want to keep lumber mills running at all times because we need the planks, but we don't necessarily need treated planks running. I think I will enable 1 printing press because that's well-being and I don't want to run out of books during the drought. We have 578, so it's not too bad. How much paper do we have? 899, so we might enable 1 paper mill as well. We have to wait till morning and then we can see how much power this produces and how much power these guys together use, and we'll see if that balances out or not. Okay, so work has begun. All 5 power wheels are turning. So how is our power looking? We supply 375, we use 380. Okay, I think that's good enough. That 5 missing horsepower is not gonna make or break this system. So they won't work at peak efficiency, but that's fine. I am a little concerned for the amount of water we have in here. I mean, I guess we could raise these up and let out some more water from up here. Because I would like to keep these trees actually growing throughout the entire drought, considering they're only halfway through. There's still some trees that are nearly done growing. I just don't want to run out of logs suddenly. So I think this drought is going to be a little micromanagey to keep this river as full as possible. Are there any ways to automate? I think there was something like, yeah, a fluid dump. Discharges water or bad water. I think I will unlock that. So we could put one over here. And then let's see when this is built how it works. Because if you can use that to keep this river like from completely drying up, that would be nice. And I'm guessing it uses water from our tanks, but I'm not too worried because we have these 2 large water pumps just working the entire drought, because this is not gonna drain anytime soon. Oh, we built all the platforms over here, but none of the storages. That's interesting. Looks more like a playground now. Oh, they already built this fluid dump. It dumps 3 water every hour. So baby the 3rd is gonna be dumping water. Oh yes, there we go. I have no clue how 3 water an hour translates to this river, but I think I'm gonna add a depth sensor to this, because I don't want baby pumping so much water into this river that it goes over the floodgates, because that's just wasting the water. So we can add a little depth sensor next door, and I think we want to keep this on 0.8 if we can. I'm not sure if that's even possible. I'm not sure how much water this produces. Maybe she's not even able to fill up this river, because this is a lot of cubic feet of water for one little pump to fill. So we're gonna say if it's less than 0.8 you can work. And we're gonna high prioritize this building. It uses gears and scrap metal, we have plenty of that. And then once it's finished we can automate this water dump on this depth sensor. Okay, and there we go. Thank you, Brittany S. Pierce IV. You can automate. And I think I'm gonna prioritize you by haulers. Because if you're not getting water, we're not doing anything over here. And there we go, water is flowing again. I'm curious if we will ever see this building pause because we filled up the river enough. But we still have some oaks growing, so this is working for now. And we have one more new addition to the colony, so welcome Bash. Continuing the tree names. I was just looking at this and thinking, imagine if we could keep this entire lake filled. Like this dam would be somewhere over here. That would be nice. Keep this entire area green. That does mean we need to figure out an entirely different system of handling the bad water, because this constantly fills up with bad water from this river and from this river. But maybe someday we can keep all of this blue and green. My brain is like, we have one mega project, yes, but what about a second mega project? Or a third? Or a fourth? Okay, all this dynamite is in, so I think I'm gonna explode this and start adding platforms over here as well for the beavers to walk on. Because we don't really use this path at the moment. Explode a unit using dynamite. Oh no! What happened? Oh, Bianca the Fourth. Oh no, she got exploded. Oh, I'm sorry, Bianca. Oh no. Oh, who told Bianca it was safe to walk over here? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you tell her it was safe to move around explosives? See you being a nice farmer. By the way, looking at this, they are moving a lot of carrots. Why are we Oh! Wait, our new carrot storage is in. Nice. So we finally started building our new food court. I was like, why are they harvesting that many carrots all of a sudden? Have we increased the population too much? But no, we have increased our storage by 1200. Okay, but that's good. Okay, so after one day of dumping water, the level has actually increased. So this one beaver pumping water into the river is enough to actually compensate for the evaporation and the water the trees use. So that's good to know. So I'm glad I added that sensor so that it won't overflow. But that means we can keep these growing the entire dry season, so that's good. And bad seasons eventually when we redirect the bad water. Which we are making very decent progress on. We've actually rounded the corner. And we are like a quarter of the way to the end of the aqueduct. Like of this straight section. I think for the entire aqueduct we're almost halfway. And I guess for the next explosives we don't explode those until it's dark. Yeah, and they're working on both sides simultaneously now. So I think adding paths on top of the levees was a good call. And look, oaks are still growing up even though we are halfway through the drought. So system is working great. And we are finally seeing this forest sort of reaching its full potential. And we do actually have logs and planks in storage now, even though we are working on the aqueduct and on these platforms, and we're still making books and stuff like that, so very pleased with that. And that's it for the drought. Nice. So we were fine on this river with the water pumper. This river was never in any real trouble. Although I would like to adjust these dams so we can automate the water level in this river as well. Same goes for this river. I did let out a bit of water using the floodgates to top up this river a bit. But yeah, all in all, very manageable drought. We've been producing logs all the time. We are running slightly short because there was a point where there were only like 3 or 4 oaks growing at the same time. Okay, so now flow should slowly be returning. Yeah, the bad water is coming from over there. This river is filling up, so we can pause this fluid. Oh, it will automatically pause in a second when the water level gets high enough. And this floodgate has to lower a bit because, yeah, I was gonna say, we don't want to flood the forest. And that means we can pause these power wheels and we can automate these guys again. And they should resume their work shortly, yeah, when the flow returns to the river. Okay, so I think we know the beavers have this under control by now, so I'm gonna keep the game running for a while and see if we can finish this aqueduct. So, unless anything crazy happens, I will see you guys in, well, a few seconds, I guess. And we have another drought approaching, but that's fine. We'll just continue working on the aqueduct. And I have actually expanded our forest a little bit over here, so we dynamited out the ground, we diverted the river, and added a bunch of platforms for the beavers to walk on. So I added another forester, or we already added this, but it has more planting area now, and I added another lumberjack over here. So we have a lot more oaks growing now. And as you can see, the oaks are actually growing fairly well now. We have a good cycle going. I did remove some planting area here. I'm gonna add a little log pile so they don't have to actually travel all the way via zip lines to the large storage over here, and haulers can just do that for them. We are making very good progress on the aqueduct. As you can see, we're like 2/3 of the way, maybe even 3/4 of the way through. So I'm just gonna let them continue working on this. We are actually increasing our log and plank supply as well, so this is really functioning like we want it now. So yeah, I'm just gonna let them keep working on this, and I will be back with you guys when there's something to report. And there we have it. After like 3 more cycles of work, the final pieces are now going in. There are just 2 more waterproof floor tiles to go. And then let's see who will be the hero of the colony. Bailey the 5th. Putting in the final piece of the puzzle. Thank you, Bailey. And there we have it. Our aqueduct is finally finished. Look at our glorious construction. So let's double check that we not miss any pieces. Doesn't look like it. I am gonna remove these stairs. And I'm gonna put in a couple of platforms instead. Just in case we need to access this for some reason while it is active. I don't want them walking through bad water. Same on this side. I'm gonna put in some platforms over here. I'm gonna remove these stairs. Because I don't want them walking around in bad water in here. But yeah, looks like we have everything in place. The floodgates are already automated on the weather station. So next bad tide, this should all function and our forest should be safe. And this has actually taken us such a long time that our log supply is full up now. So a lot of these lumberjacks are paused because we just couldn't store the logs anymore. And we already halfway filled our plank supply as well. So we're actually doing very well. And we also finished our food court. So we have all food types stored now over here in a convenient place. And we made very good progress on preparing this reservoir. So a lot of the dynamite has been put in. So with the drought almost upon us, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode. We made very good progress, finally finished the aqueduct and finally getting our forest on the go over here. We're looking very good on supplies, both food, water and logs, planks, everything really. The only thing we're running out of is maple syrup because we cut some of those down, but it is slowly returning, so that should be fine. And then next episode we can start focusing on some new projects. So I want to get our dams over here fixed. And I want to finally get our housing area fixed and improve on our well-being. So that's stuff we're gonna work on next time. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a good rest of your day. And I will see you all in the next one where we can face this drought and start working on some new projects. That's only a 5-day drought. Should be fine. See you next time. Bye bye.